Welcome back to Horse Racing Today. Thomas and I for Foreign Friday, and we have a pretty stacked card down in Caulfield Racecourse at Australia tonight. Say, Tom?
Absolutely. And then we get to really drive ourselves crazy with 2-year-olds.
Oh, yes, some 2-year-olds. A lot of them are lightly raced, one race, no races.
Yeah.
Lots of fun there. Deep fields to boot, right?
For the most part, yeah, I think we start out with only 7, but then it gets a little more.
Gets worse from there. Track is listed as good for. So that means, and I read it's a little overcast there. I don't know that it's going to get downgraded much, Tom. See any reason to think it'll get downgraded?
I think we're going to see a good 4.
And good late night racing. I think the first race starts at approximately, let me just get you to pull up the real time here. First race, the one we're going to do anyway, race number 5. That one's going to get kicking off at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So if you're out on the West Coast, got a pretty good chance to get it right in dinner time, so to speak, or a little after dinner. Little drink, a little relaxation, and then get yourself going. But that first one, Tom, at Caulfield here, we're looking at 1,600 meters. It is a Group 3. All of the races we're doing tonight are group races, right?
Yes.
Indeed. So,
and there's 16... one, race 4 is also a group race.
Yeah, so nice card there tonight, starting. Really good card. So 1,600 meters, excuse me, Thomas. We're going to start here, and then we're going to work our way up and down and then around to the finish line. Any particular running style that you feel will do the best at that distance?
Mid-pack closer.
Mid-pack closers. All right, let's take a look at what the race shape might look like. I know I have that in here somewhere. All right, form, speed maps. Here we go. This is what we're right there. So the early speed right there, Tom, it looks like a bunch of them plan on getting out of the gate with a little giddy up and go. So that could mean that a horse that comes from off the pace, mid-pack or back, where Tom says he's going to be looking at. As they settle in, Tom, you can see right here that it does look like, really none really is a pace setter. They might all be pushing a little bit with that encouragement to go up front. And then at the end, if you're looking for a closer, Tom, all of them except Loft, the German horse. But I just think they don't know what the German horse is going to bring in there. But based upon everything we see, this looks like a pretty competitive opener. How did you dissect it?
Very carefully. For a relatively small field, this was a bunch of horses that, I put the 2 in, but it's really an unknown. And some of the other ones, they could pop up and really and the prices I think are going to be, nothing less than 2 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to be 2 to 1 and higher, or 3 to 1. So you're going to get, if you can figure it out, you're going to get a good payoff.
Mm-hmm. And how did you figure it out?
I went with 4 Jans with barrier 5. Last race was a better effort and listed at Caulfield. It was a length behind at the 1,400 meters. And that's his third up. It's 1 for 1 at third up. And it's really good record at this distance of 3 starts, 2 wins. So not bad. She's going to settle, I think. This is why I picked her. She'll probably move up a little bit. And, I see her 4th or 5th. And just to make, there's enough to suggest to me there's going to be some improvement for this race and put her on top. The unknown one is 2 Loft with barrier 2. I did take that one. To say the least, that this horse has had an interesting travel journey as being an understatement. Last race was at Chester in Great Britain, and he ran second in a field of 4. Prior race was a grade 2 at Belmont Park in New York. Won that one, but a big distance race. Ran in Germany. But all these races are longer than this. But if they use a barrier trial or 1,200, I think they're just trying to figure out what they got. So it's a bit of a shot in the dark that it'll finish in the money, but maybe they know something, and we'll see. They're obviously looking for bigger things from this horse. And finally, I'm going to take 6 Foxy Cleopatra with barrier 1. Didn't show much at 2,000 meters last out, but she's made better efforts at 1,400 and 1,600. She's run this distance twice. She's got a win and a second. She hasn't won in over a year, so that's why I didn't put her on top. But everything suggests that she should run good with this bunch, and that's why I put her in.
Well, we started with the same exact, maybe a lot of common thinking there. The Yance horse, you mentioned a lot of the good things at the distance, third up, won that race as well. Classic third start after a layoff. But overall, this horse has won 5 out of 6 races on a good surface, as you can see right here. This is the right surface tonight, Tom. Right distance tonight. Does have a win at the track. So I think you'll see that one continue to perform well on a good track at this distance. The German horse, to me, the key, Thomas, was the fact that this horse, good to firm record, is pretty solid in here. You can see, right? The horse is in the money 7 of 8 times on solid footing. But something that caught my eye in there, Tom, is this horse is going to be carrying probably the lightest amount of weight it has in quite a while. 14 pounds less than it had to saddle up in that last race. It's going to feel like, like they say, the guys in the Dominican, they take bottle caps and they go like that, and that's how they learn how to hit so well, Tom. You go from a bottle cap to a baseball, this is going to feel like you're going from a lead weight to like nobody's on there for long. I feel like Young Werther, the one horse, Tom, my third selection, is the classiest horse in the field. But I don't think this is necessarily the race they're thinking about winning, because that first up record, as you can see here, is pretty stinky, 1 out of 6. But I don't think you can overlook the class for an in the money performance. And then you had the 6 horse as your third pick. I picked the 5 horse over the 6 horse. It was a really tough call for me. But if you look at the good track record for the 5 horse, Unusual Culture, a lot of this good work was done in there. Whereas the 6 horse, most of its good work is done when there is a little bit of moisture in the track. So I think the drier track gives Unusual Culture a little advantage over Foxy Cleopatra. So 4, 2, 1, and 5 for me in race number 5. And I forgot to do something there, Tom. Can you believe that? I forgot to put that up there. So now we're going to do race number 6.
But you don't have a predictor, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I can't. I can only screw up one thing at a time today, right?
Hmm.
So in race 6, you see down there in the marquee, this one is the Sportsbet Blue Diamond Prelude, 1,100 meters. It is a Group 3. 1,100 meters. We're going to start back here down in the chute. Come down. We're going to make one quick turn left. That looks like a pretty tight turn, Tom, coming off that straightaway. Is it a tight turn?
No, it's not that tight.
No. All right. So what are we looking for in this one-turn sprint?
Well, speed. And these are 2-year-olds.
Yeah, so this is what you referenced earlier.
Speed.
Get out to the front. So let's take a look at that speed and see who has the most early on. That helps if I press the right button, my friends.
Yeah.
But Inner Visions, that one looks like it's got a pretty aggressive early pace advantage. Homes of Court going to be right in that mix too. So if you're looking for speed, you got a couple nice prices there on that gas when the gates open. Settling position, Tom, those 3 are going to be out there. A little bit of a gap to everybody else going backwards. So if they can run some decent fractions, maybe a chance to stay up there. And then finally, on the way home, Bodyguard and High Octane will be coming the hardest of the 2 front runners. Does look like Homes of Court has a little bit more late energy than Inner Visions, Tom. Who do you think will have the most energy when they hit the finish line?
I took number 4, Stay Focused, with Barrier 3. One first start at Geelong, 1,100 meters. It was an open race, it had a nice purse, and it was a good. And then finished this horse nicely. Sat third and moved late and won. And that's 1 for 1. It was favorite last time out. Maybe again. Just depends on how that Geelong form transfers to one of the metropolitan tracks. But it was quick time. And at 600 meter number in is very quick. Number 6, I did take Inner Visions with Barrier 5. Ran third in the debut against some of these horses, and it was a speedy effort to say the least because it ran on the front end and just got caught. They added blinkers last time out for more speed focused, and it did the trick. Now the question is, did it need that race for conditioning to run better, or what? Both his barrier trials were good races. I mean, he ran decently, so the horse has been running nicely, and I think maybe this equipment change is the way to go. Finally, I'll take High Octane, I think, which will be the favorite from barrier 1, and he's number 1. He won at Caulfield in his first start by a little less than a length. He sat 6th most of that race and really blew him away. And I like to see that out of a 2-year-old, because when it asked to go, it went. Won both of its barrier trials. I mean, it just has improved works. I mean, it looks good. It may just blow by this field and win for fun.
As for me, Mr. Thomas, I'm going to start off in this race with High Octane. I agree with you. I think that's the one to beat. Well bet in its winning debut, ran away from the pack. I think getting a little bit extra distance today might actually work to its advantage. I'm going to go with the 3-horse next, Bodyguard. Also one of those horses in its debut, well bet, easy winner. Strong move at the end, extra distance like the 1-horse, going to be useful here as well. And I was just thinking, I heard a few Whitney Houston songs today. I haven't heard any in a while, and I thought, well, maybe that's a little bit of a premonition. I'm going to go a little farther down the card here at a bigger price. Number 10, Untapped is my third choice. I really don't know what this comment means for a horse making its first time start, Tom, but it said gapped rivals in a recent jump out win. I don't know what a jump out win is, but it sure as hell sounds good. I like it. I like the 26-1 odds at the moment. And then finally, we saw in our speed map, Holmes of Court going to be on the lead or close to the lead. A little bit more late legs than Tom's Inner Visions. So I went with that one instead. Ran a nice even second versus the top pick in his debut. So I think you're going to see some second race improvement in here. Maybe enough, who knows, to snatch this one at 15-1. Tom. Race number 7 at Caulfield tonight is the Sports Blue Diamond Prelude. That one will go off at 11:40 p.m. Eastern. This is a Group 2, again, 1,100 meters, starting in that back chute, and then they're going to work their way down. So pay attention to race number 6 to see what kind of racing style gets the job done there. Again, Tom thinks speed might be the course of the day. You're not changing your mind, are you, with these 2-year-old fillies?
No, not really. Not with 2-year-olds.
Especially the young ladies in there.
Yeah.
So our speed map, and again, these horses are lightly raced, so you're not quite sure if they're really going to prove to be here.
Somebody may jump right out there and that is not even listed there, or it's listed as one of the back horses. You just don't know what they're going to do. They're just so unpredictable.
Based upon these predictions, you got the to be or not to be. There you go. That one is going to be on the front. She Hung the Moon, along with Bold Bastille. That trio should be up on the front as they settle around. Looks like they're going to be spread out from front to back, Tom. So a lot of opportunity to come from off the pace. I would still think, though, with all of these horses middle back, I'd probably want something from here like the 8 and up. And these horses back here maybe make me a little bit nervous unless they have just dynamite closing speed. And a lot of them are pretty tightly packed in here, Tom. So I think you get middle forward. You got a pretty good shot to maybe get the race into your winning column. Who's going to be your top selection here?
Yeah, the only other comment I would put on this one is, though, I think the outside barrier positions are going to, unless they get a great trip, are going to be a real challenge for most of these horses that are sat outside.
Mm-hmm.
With that thinking, I went with number 5, Flattered, with barrier 3. Ran second by a little over 2 lengths, and it's only started Caulfield. She sat 9th most of the race and got interested in late. She's got some barrier trials since. She ran 4th, and it was a quick time. Second start, I think she's well placed, and she's got a good draw.
Mm-hmm.
Took one, Bold Bastille, with barrier 8. set the pace at the Valley and won wire to wire by over 3 lengths. And it was a decent money race. Trainer is making an equipment change. So you win and make a change. So they saw something they weren't happy about or think they can get more. And that's just a very strong performance in this race to me. So that's my second choice. Finally, I'm going to take 13, Juviance, I don't know, barrier 2. Ran second, first out, lost by less than a length. Yeah, it's a little more of a minor track, but she sat 6th in most of that race and then kicked it up. And I like that. It's got an inside draw today, which I think will help. And yeah, it's a big step up from a maiden, but they had winkers, and these are 2-year-olds.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of taking a step up in here too. And at 81 to 1, probably well worth.
Yeah, you know, I had to throw one of those in, and that one looked like I like that when it moves up in a race, and I like the equipment change. I thought just adding the winkers maybe just make a little more focus and see what happens.
So I'm going to go with the 6-horse Kuro Yanagi. If I got that right, I should get it. I should win just off of that. This one ran in a debut, easily won, low-priced horse, short field. But the comment was that it was a very easy one. So I don't think the horse really worked. We're going to get a much better performance out of the 6-horse. I'm not going to try to pronounce that a second time. Bold Bastille, the 1 horse that looks like it's going to be your heavy favorite, Tom. A little under 2 to 1 right now, borderline 9 to 5. Solid race time. If you look at the race time in its debut, it was pretty good. And I think you're going to see a little bit faster horse in race number 2 today. Number 7, you know, I mentioned that I had listened to the radio today and heard a little Whitney Houston, and then it popped into my head after writing that note down. I heard Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes. So this is her eyes, but again, maybe a little bit of a premonition right in there. But notwithstanding the goofy song handicapping angle, this horse just missed in her debut at 6 furlongs. It's going to be fit and faster today, and I think you're going to see it benefit from cutting back in distance. I've noticed a lot of horses in my notes that are moving from a little bit longer distance and shortening up just a touch, finding their way into the winner circles. And then finally, number 10, boy, some long prices for you and me in the back half of our picks, Tom. Barbell, either a real short price or a real big price, nothing in the middle. Dancer for Money, this one was close to the front in its debut. Won. The time was pretty nice as well. And I figured, what the heck, at 41 to 1, Tom, much like you had that 81 to 1, you got twice the horse I do, but I'll take a 41 to 1 that wins. And last week, I think we had a $37 winner between you and you had a really nice trifecta in your pick. So we did all right in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I wasn't complaining.
Hopefully we can have a repeat performance, a big price winner today or tonight or this morning at Caulfield.
I will take that any day of the week.
The 8th race is let me pop back over here again, the McCafé Rubiton Stakes. So I guess this one's sponsored by McDonald's, maybe, I don't know. Again, another 1,100 meters, another one of them quick ones. Boom, better not blink. This will be over in a heartbeat. Pay attention to races 6 and 7 to get an idea of speed is holding up, if they're coming from the middle of the pack, if they're coming from the back of the pack. If they're coming from the middle, the front of the pack, whole bunch of them got a shot to do that. Indian Pacific, Hypothetical, Asfura, Vivian, and Queen of the Ball. They should be the ones that are setting the tone early on, at least according to this speed map. As they settle into position, a lot of them forwardly placed, Tom. So I'd imagine you're going to see a lot of these horses back up and some of these horses come forward. Better be the speed of the speed if you want to take these wire to wire. Then finally, as they are bringing the race to a close, you know what, Tom? Really not a big advantage for anybody in here aside from Ray Magnirio. So maybe focus on some of those front runners in there, Tom, in this race as well, because it doesn't look like the closers have enough to catch them. Is that how you assessed it?
Well, I'm going to take exception to the comment you made a bit initially. I don't know if those two races before me are going to be indicative of this race. These are much more experienced horses,
Mhm.
and 2-year-olds are 2-year-olds.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, where this one maybe is it going to be more formful? I don't know. But one thing I did take the one I think is going to be the favorite, which is number 4. Asked for with barrier 6. She ran 3 good races this season, and then ran a stinker last time out. She finished 9th. She was lost by over 7 lengths. It was a Group 1 at Flemington. She had good position early and just flattened out, but there's one difference. Of course, this race was at 1,200 meters. Drops back to a distance where she's done well. She has a good first-up record of 4 starts and 3 wins and a placing. Plus, she likes this distance. 7 starts, 5 wins, and 1 placing. And if you toss out that last one, I think she's the one to beat. I'm going to take 5. Zapatato. Yeah, what the hell?
Zapatio, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll go with your pronunciation.
First start of the season after winning a barrier trial, which did, and it was actually a pretty quick time. She's never won a Group 1. That's why I didn't put her first. But she's placed twice, and she's won Group 2s and 1 Group 3s. So, pretty good horse. I mean, overall. First up record is decent. 5 starts. She's got 2 wins and 2 placings. In this distance, 8 starts, 3 wins, and 2 placings. So why not start here?
Mm-hmm.
The season is pretty good race to try to nail down. And finally, I'm going to take number 13, Barbie's Fox with barrier 10. To say the last race was awful in a Group 1, I would be, Terror, not a great start, and it was in barrier 15. Well, right there, you're going to have some problems. You can't blow a start.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting move because they're dropping her in distance to a distance she's never run either, because all her races have been at 1,200 meters or more. Maybe because she's one of the older ones in this race, maybe they're thinking, maybe she's more of a sprinter now than she is. Want to stretch it out a little bit. I'm going to look for that price and see what happens.
Well, 61 to 1 is definitely a price well worth looking for. I'm looking for number 9, the nod to the WWE star, Rey Magnerio. We saw that was the one with the most late kick. I think it's not going to be all that far off the pace in here either, Tom. And it's really kind of hard to argue. The horse that's run on a good surface 7 times, 5 of them ended in the winner's circle, and a couple of times the horse finished with placings. Also kind of hard to argue with a horse that's run the distance 6 times with 4 wins. I think that's pretty solid. And then he did it at the track 1 for 1. So got the right track, has the right distance, the right surface. Rey Magnerio going to do, the 619 right into the winner's circle. The favorite is my second choice in here too, the 4-horse, Thomas Asfura. It sounds like a noise you would make when you're doing some karate move, but let's see if you can make a noise into the winner's circle. Going to be your big-time favorite, Tom. I think that's no doubt in this deep field. He loves this track, Tom. 5 times out. 4 of them were wins. 1 was a third. Only question for me is that the horse is making its first up start, so maybe it comes in a little stale, but its first up record, look at that. 4 times out, 3 wins in the third. So you're going to get a good effort. Number 2, Cayos is my third selection. Cayos is a Godolphin horse, Tom. They breed and own good horses, wouldn't you say?
1 or 2.
Yeah, a few in there somewhere along the line.
A couple of good jockeys too ride for them, so that probably helps too.
Yeah, and they win a few bucks here and there. But anyway, this horse started its career with 3 strong wins and ran a 7th, came off the break, ran a 7th again in a Group 1. So a little bit of a step back in class here, and I think a little bit of a step back into its better form in the second start after a layoff. And then finally, for me, the last choice in race number 9 is the 14 horse, Hypothetical. This time, this horse has run pretty well in the first start after a layoff. 4 times out and win a couple of seconds. I'll take that. On a good track in the money, 10 out of 12 races. I think that's pretty solid as well. Look at that at the distance, Thomas. 7 out of 9 in the money as well. At Caulfield, this was the one for me that put this in the 4th spot. Almost moved it higher, but it won its one Caulfield race and it finished second by 0.10 of a length. So, I mean, what's that? Half a head? Almost undefeated. And in that race, Tom, this is something I really like about that horse. It was on the lead, then gave up the lead, and then tried to fight back. So you know that that horse has a lot of heart. And then if you rewind back through some of the prior starts, it's faced a lot of horses in what you would call key races, because when you look at the horses that run the race that they ran and he won, a lot of those horses came back to win follow-up races. So I've been racing against a bunch of winners as well, hypothetical. So 9, 4, 2, and 14. That leaves one race for you and I to go. And was that what race number 8, Tom?
No, 2 races.
2 races to go. I got to make a few mistakes. Otherwise, it's not a regular show.
Mm-hmm.
This one's going to be.
Your crystal ball sometimes just does not work for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do better at guessing what's going to happen than actually looking at the facts in front of me. This one is a Group 1 for 1,400 meters, my friend. At 1,400 meters, to go to this chute. Come down here. This looks like a little bit of a tight turn. So I would suspect, Tom, that an inside draw would probably be beneficial from this little chute into a stretch and then turn.
Well, that's the way I handicapped it.
All right. Well, good guess on my part then. Looking at the early speed in this particular spot, Tom, what we're looking at here is Buffalo River. That one, that's 61 to 1. There's one of your big prices, Tom. Pride of Jenny going to be right there too, but plenty of company. Really looks like only the 7 and the 3 won't be in the mix as the race gets started. So maybe these two burn it up and everybody else kind of tries to find their positioning. Again, most of the people are middle forward. That would give me looking for a horse that's either on the lead and does so with ease, or somebody back in here with the ability to close. If you're looking for a closer, Tom, a bunch of them in here. You got the 3, the 7, the 4, the 1, the 9. So I think this is one of those races that might be bunched up. And as they come out of that final turn, you'll see a cavalry heading for the finish line. In your estimation, who from that stampede gets there first?
9.
The 9.
I get barrier 2. They took the blinkers last time off in a Group 2 and 1,200 meters at the Valley, and it won. It has 8 career starts. It's got 4 wins and a second. It's a 3-year-old, so for this race, it gets a weight allowance. And there's support in the market because it looks like 5 to 1 right now. I think that's a good price, and I also think it will continue its winning ways. I'm going to take 4. Bustler with barrier number 6. He's run a second in a barrier trial last time out, because he's been away a little while, 56 days. He's your favorite type of horse, all or nothing at this
Those
distance.
are my favorite for sure. Yeah,
6 starts, 3 wins. He's run many races at Ascot, and they're shipping him over. It's good, tough, but does have a Group 1 win, and he did that at 1,600 meters. So is this the right distance for him? Always hard for me to say with the ones that like to run the mile versus the one that want to run the shorter little races. 7 furlongs. Is it a sprint, or is it just slightly longer?
That's that tweener.
Yeah, it's always been hard for me to really look at 7 furlong races, and is the speed going to hold up, or do we have is there somebody who can come from the clouds to get there? I think more likely on the grass, but they run these 7.5 furlong races at some of these tracks. Canterbury comes to mind, and boy, sometimes it's speed all the way, and when the ground's hard, and then these turf races, then you see these big money priced horses coming from the clouds. So tough. I'm going to take 1. Mr. Brightside is my final choice, probably the favorite. but it likes to run second too many times for me. Barrier 4. Done 3 times in a row. I don't think, he's in form. There's no question about that. He's got a great record. 9 times, got 4 wins, 3 set placings, right? Likes the course a lot. He's got 4 starts here. He's won 3 times. That second-itis thing bothers me. I'm going to put him in the money, but I don't know what to win.
Well, I'm going to start there. I'm going to stick with my music theme. Mr. Brightside is a killer. See what I did there? Anyway, this horse is 3 for 3, Thomas, at Caulfield, at the track, at the distance, and he is the class of the field. I don't think there's any doubt about that. My only concern with this one, Tom, is its first record up is a little bit on the spotty side, but I think the 3 for 3 at the track and distance overcomes that, in my opinion. 210s maybe a little bit low against this field. For that, then I'm going to go with Ayrton. I guess that's how Pirate says something. I don't know. Anyway, this one's another one that at Caulfield just does some great work, Tom. The track and distance, 6 times out, 5 wins and and off the board in the others. Can't argue with that at all. And the lone miss, Tom, was for a race that was a little bit more than $1 million. And it got off to a chunky start. So a little better start today. And half, what is it, $750,000? So 3/4 of the prize money. So from a purse standpoint, a little bit of a step down. And then finally, another horse, the one that you like in there, Tom, the Bustler. That one gets my 4th selection as well. It's another one that's as you mentioned, my favorite. It's an all or nothing type, Tom. It's, it either wins or doesn't win at the distance, and he won half of them. But what caught my eye again here is the last 3 races, Tom. This horse was running for purses about $1.5 million. Got to win in some of those stakes races and competitive 4ths in the other 2. By the purse, this one's cutting its race class in half, Tom, and getting 41-1. I think that's not bad. You obviously agree. So 1, 6, 2, 4 for me. Now we have 1 race left. This one is a pretty big one. Fielding 14, was it 13 horses in here for race number 10, the Senet Peter Legrand Stakes. That closes us out right in there. They're going to go 1,100 meters again, Tom. So back over here, that quick sprint down that straightaway into that turn. Run as fast as you can to the finish line. Let's see indeed who has the early giddy up and go when this one gets cracking. And this one looks like they're going to be juicing out of the gates pretty quick. When the gates open, plenty of horses are going to dig in. That grass is going to fly. That looks to me like a lot of speed. I'd probably want somebody who's a little bit off the pace with all that giddy up and go from the gate. So maybe somebody here and back. Maybe these 3 horses right here, the 1, 2, and 3, Tom, they could be in a dangerous position with all these guys duking it out early on, especially if they have a big late race advantage. But it doesn't look like they really do. It looks like a lot of those speed horses will be in contention down the end. So maybe middle forward, Tom. Maybe. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought this was the hardest race on the card. For me, at least. I went with 4, Brazen Style from Barrier 5 as my top choice. She hasn't run in 84 days. She's used a barrier trial for the prep in this race. And she ran 4th in it. And time wasn't great, but that's okay. She's won her last 2 races. One was a maiden. Then they shipped her to Caulfield, and she went off at 50-1 in a Group 3 race. And she did what?
Scored a W?
Yeah, 1,200 meters. Not bad. Not bad price either. She's likely to set the pace here. And it's a little shorter distance this time. So I kind of like her. And we'll see what the odds are. I don't think they're going to be 50-1, but you never know.
They're Michael Jordan right now, 23-1.
That's still good money. But not 50. 8, Estrella is my next choice. Number is barrier 13. I'm not thrilled with, but I like her races. I forgot her last race. It was forgettable. She ran 6th and ran 7th most of the race and wasn't great. But her maiden win was a good run, and then she ran 2nd in a Group 2, and then she ran 2nd in a open race, and again, decent money. She's won in place, 3 tries. I mean, that's not bad. I just, the outside barrier position, I'd probably put her a little higher, but I'm going to put 2nd and see what happens. Finally, I know I'm taking one of your horses because I got this as the link to sign in here, which was number 7, Blanc de Blanc, with barrier 2. This horse has been running some nice races, ran 2nd, has she's 4 out of 6 in her starts. So, she likes this distance. She comes in the race off a 10-month layoff, so that's always a concern. But she did win her maiden race first up. She's had some barrier trials to get ready for this race, and she won one of them, and she got a 3rd in the other one. The times were decent. If she's fit, if fitness is good, I think she's got a good chance of hitting the board.
Blanc de Blanc. It is in my picks, Tom, just not at the top. I'm going to go with.
I didn't think it was the top one, but I did think the link was interesting because I looked at it and going, yeah, this is going to do me much.
Yeah, I didn't send her a link. So
it's an interesting choice of a horse, and I know what race it is.
Last one. I'm going to stop with Hip Hip Hurrah. Unbeaten in 2 races, Thomas. Both on good surface. I do like that. And this time, it's the first time it's going to run at this distance, but that's okay. I remember you and I doing a race in Australia. It was a stakes race, and I forget the name of the horse. I know you remember it, but it was undefeated, winning at a good price.
Yeah,
and Giga Kick. It turned out to be a pretty good horse, but I don't know that Hip Hip Hurrah is Giga Kick. But as the announcer said when the race was over, and it's something that has stuck with me, you just don't know how good a horse is until it loses. So 2 wins, the horse doesn't know how to lose, folks. He's going to dig in, and his confidence will be there. Number 10, this is our good guy, Terry Hay. Terrific Terry Hay. So glamorous in here. This horse has always been well bet in every race. So the punters, they call them punters down there, or that's only in England? Tom?
Yes, you're correct.
Punters as well. So the punters have put up their money for this one. And every single effort that the horses has is stepping up in class, but most of them aren't here. I think this one has a good shot to be, like I said, when we were going through the race where the horses would be stationed when the race opened, should be mid-pack. Tom has a lot of late runs. So if they run some fast fractions, I think So Glamorous could run by them pretty easily. Number 12 is my 3rd pick in here. Amorisira or Amor Sira. This guy debuted, Tom. One of the things I like to look at with horses that are lightly raced, 1 race, maybe 2, I want to see how they were backed in that opening race. And a lot of times you see a horse that gets bet down 7-5 in this one's case, won with ease. I think it won by almost 4 lengths in its debut. So it wasn't really pressured. The bettors really thought highly of it. The people who know backed it heavily. We'll see if this one, how good it is in its 2nd start. And then you mentioned the Tom horse, the one that you thought I might have. I have in here, Blanc de Blanc. The truth is this one's been facing probably the best company of anybody in this field. But I got a feeling one of those lesser experienced horses has a shot to turn out to be something special out of this group, Tom. And one of them could clip that horse and take the W. But Blanc de Blanc's experience against better horses, I think, will come through in a solid effort here. And that wraps up all of our picks tonight and early this morning at Caulfield. I love the Australia racing, Tom, for one reason. I always think to myself, well, I'm going to be in bed, right? And then I look up in the middle of doing something. Hey, wait a minute. My first race is coming up. All right, I'm going to watch that. And then the next thing you know, you're 5 deep and it's 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. I'm watching the racing and not paying attention to what time it is.
So not paying attention. Should we pay attention to something we're going to do next week, Tom? What's on the itinerary, or we're going to figure that out as the week goes on?
I think we're all going to figure it out as the week goes on.
Beautiful. We'll do that as always.
My crystal ball just couldn't find a race I liked at this point, so it means I need to look at it again. Or maybe we go back to England and do some all-weather racing. Yeah,
I'm sure we'll find something.
We haven't done some of that again. That's always worth a giggle. Not quite group company racing, because of course we're getting into the late summer and early fall in Australia, so the weather is slightly better than it is here.
We had an early fall. We had an early spring day today in Chicago, where Tom and I both are. A nice 60-degree day. Got up and played a little bit of golf. Disappointing. Didn't chip or putt as well as I had hoped. But that's always the last thing to come around. They drove the ball all right and hit my irons. Hopefully by the time the ground gets a little bit firmer, like the course today at Caulfield, that game will come around. Well, I know for sure that on Monday, Terry and I will come around for Parks, as always. And hopefully soon we'll have an announcement for everybody in regards to some of our data being available across all tracks. Again, in our link below, there's always a link to Guaranteed Tip Sheet. Head over there every day for the free track of the day. A lot of some decent stakes races tomorrow. I think there's one out in Golden Gate Fields. Terry would know. But that one, I think, is their Kentucky Derby qualifier, the El Camino. And I think there might be another one tomorrow, too. I'm not 100% sure. Again, you can get all that over there. Any final thoughts from you, Tom, before you and I check out of here on this Foreign Friday?
No, enjoy the racing. I thought Caulfield was one of the better cards we've seen in a while, and those 2-year-olds are there to drive us crazy, and there's plenty of those races. So,
well, the racing should be good, and I think there'll be some really good prices. There are always some good prices down there, yeah, for sure. So, no matter what you're doing for the rest of this weekend, Thomas. Before we get back together again, we certainly hope that everybody has God's grace, God's favor. And I know for sure down there, it should end up in the
winner's enclosure.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us, folks. Have a fantastic weekend. We look forward to seeing you again.